Am I the a-hole for trying to reconnect with my daughter after tough choices? A few years ago, my life took an unexpected turn when I lost my beloved wife, my daughter's biological mother, to a sudden illness. In the midst of my grief, I found comfort in a support group for widowed spouses, where I met a woman who had also experienced loss. We got married, perhaps too soon, just 6 months after my wife's passing. I believed this new relationship could provide stability for my daughter and me. However, blending our families wasn't as smooth as I hoped. My daughter was understandably still grieving and struggling with the loss of her mother. She wasn't ready to treat my new wife like her mother or call her children her siblings, and this caused tension in our home. In what I believed was the best decision, I asked my daughter to live with her maternal grandparents, who she had a close relationship with and expressed her desire to move in with. At the time, I genuinely believed this would be best for my daughter. She seemed unhappy living with us, and her grandparents offered a loving and supportive environment. Despite the distance, I made sure to call her 4 times a week, but she rarely picked it up. And when she did, it felt like she was just going through the motions. Feeling hurt and rejected, I decided to limit contact, hoping she would realize how much I cared and that I was only doing what's best for her. Recently, I came across a post on social media about my daughter's high school graduation and realized I wasn't invited. Feeling hurt again, I tried to reach out, hoping for a chance to reconcile. But my daughter refuses to talk to me. She even went as far as saying I'm not her father, which devastated me. I can't help but feel like she's being selfish, refusing to see that I only did what's best for her, even if she can't understand it. In my mind, I've been trying to be a responsible parent and provide her with a stable home and support system. I thought she'd be happier with her grandparents, but it seems like she can't forgive me for the choices I made. I'm hurt, and I want her to understand that everything I did was out of love for her, even if she can't see it. Reddit, am I the a-hole for trying to reconnect and expecting her to apologize? Should I give up on our relationship and move on? Or should I keep pushing for a chance to make things right? I believe I did what's best for her, and I just want her to understand that. Any advice or insights would be appreciated. Thanks for listening, Reddit. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. I get that people have a tendency to make illogical decisions after such a great loss, and maybe one day she'll understand that. People process grief differently, and it sounds like you forced your method of coping on her. 6 months would be quick to move on, even if her mother was still alive and you had separated. I'm sure she feels like she's lost both parents at this point. Have you considered what that must be like for her? To have her entire life dismantled and turned upside down? It seems like there's a lot you're leaving out with regards to how the new family situation turned out. And honestly, I'm very curious about where your family dynamic was before your wife's passing. You're the a-hole. If your kid isn't happy in your home, you don't send her to live with relatives out of love. You improve your home life. You make her a priority in your life. Her, not your shiny new family. Instead, you bailed on her when life got tough. You gave her up. Funny how you keep repeating, I did it out of love. You think if you say it enough times, someone might believe you? Nope, not fooling anyone, least of all her. You did it because she was an inconvenience and not a priority. Leave her alone. Look, I understand that you feel strongly about this, but I need to set the record straight. I never abandoned my child nor neglected her needs. Yes, I did get remarried, and I acknowledge that my timing may not have been perfect, but that doesn't mean I stopped caring about my daughter. I did provide financial support, including child support for clothing, food, school supplies, and other expenses. I never shirked my responsibilities as a parent, and I did my best to be there for her even though we were living apart. As for expecting her to treat my new wife like a mom, I never forced her to do anything she didn't want to. I understand that forming a new family dynamic can be challenging, and I tried to be understanding of her feelings during that time. Yes, I made mistakes and I deeply regret any hurt I caused. But I want to make it clear that I have always loved my daughter and wanted the best for her. I never intended to hurt her, and I take responsibility for any insensitivity on my part. I'm not looking for sympathy here, but I want you to understand that parenting is complex, and sometimes we make decisions that we later realize were not the best. I'm willing to learn from my mistakes and try to be a better parent going forward. While I may have made some missteps, I reject the notion that I abandoned my child. I care about her deeply, and I hope that one day we can find a way to heal our relationship and move forward together. I never saw my daughter as an inconvenience or treated her as anything less than a priority. Her well-being has always been my top concern, and when she expressed her unhappiness, I thought living with her grandparents, whom she had a strong bond with, might be a better situation for her. I didn't make this decision lightly, and I believed it was the right thing to do at the time. I did call her regularly and tried to be there for her despite the distance, but she seemed distant and uninterested in talking to me. It's true that my life changed after my wife's passing, and I found a new partner with whom I built a loving family. But that doesn't mean I abandoned my daughter or made her a lesser priority. I've always cared for her deeply and hoped that she would find happiness and support with her grandparents. I understand that my daughter may see things differently, and I respect her feelings. If she needs space and time to heal, I will give her that. My hope is that one day we can reconcile and rebuild our relationship. I acknowledge that my decisions might have hurt her, and I'm genuinely sorry for any pain I've caused. I just want to find a way to mend things and show her that she's always been loved and important to me. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I, 38 female, don't want to take my stepson, 9, on vacation? My husband, 39, and I have been married for 5 years. We have 2 children of our own, both girls, aged 5 and 2. I also have a son, 10, from a previous marriage, but I was widowed. My husband's ex barely involved in stepson's life at all. They got divorced when stepson was 2 and his ex wanted a fresh start. So my husband did a decent selfless thing and had complete custody of their son, even though he'd wanted shared custody. I got a bonus at work, and I really want to go on vacation with just my family, just once. We've been on family vacations all together lots of times, but just once I want to spend my money going on vacation, where I'm not looking after someone else's kid. So I want stepson to stay with his mom while we go on vacation. My husband sees my point of view and is okay with it, and I don't think I'm being at all unreasonable. My mom found out what I was planning and says I'm being a complete a-hole. These are the reasons she says I could be the a-hole. 1. My mom says that if stepson's mom isn't properly involved in his life, I should be even more involved in his life to compensate. I think this is completely unfair expectation. 2. She also says that I'm being a hypocrite taking my son, but I think that's totally different because my son doesn't have another parent. I'm all he's got. If stepson's mom won't take him just for once, then obviously he'll come on vacation with us. But I don't think I'm the a-hole to ask if I can have a vacation with my own family just one time. It's not like I hate stepson or something. He's a nice kid. He's just not mine. Am I the a-hole? Just my family just once. Your husband's son is your family, and you better not ever let that kid hear you say otherwise. Jesus Christ. I'm not looking after someone else's kid. Homie, that ship sailed when you married a man with a child. I don't think I'm the a-hole to ask if I can have a vacation with my own family just one time. Wanting a vacation with your family is fine. Deciding that your stepson doesn't count as family is messed up beyond belief, and definitely makes you an a-hole. You're the a-hole. I couldn't have said it any better myself. The audacity of this woman is honestly astonishing. I've been with my boyfriend for about 2.5 years, and I literally could never even dream of trying to tell him that I didn't want one of his 3 children to come with us on vacation. His oldest, 16 male, isn't even biologically his, and he still takes him whenever he picks up his biological children from their mother's house. We would never, ever exclude him from any family fun trip we were taking. Opie, you're definitely a huge a-hole in this situation. And it's weird that your own mother was the one to tell you this and not your husband. When you married your husband, his son became your stepson, just like your son became his stepson. How would you feel if you wanted to exclude your son? You said yourself that your stepson's mother isn't a very attentive mother, and maybe that's not the same thing as having a deceased parent, but damn lady, have some empathy. You're the a-hole. Absolutely 100%. You married his father, which means your stepson is part of your family. My son doesn't have another parent. Technically, your stepson doesn't have another parent. He has an incubator/egg donor who doesn't want him. You are going to tell him you don't want him either, and that is a horrible thing to do. Her son has another parent, but he's dead. Her son is not her second husband's though. I'm guessing if her husband said just once he'd like to vacation just once with his family excluding her son, because hey, biology is more important, she'd be okay with that. When you marry a man with a child, that child becomes part of the family. Wonder how she would feel if her husband decided that her son wasn't a part of the family. You're the a-hole and so is your husband. Your husband isn't just an a-hole, but also a horrible father for exposing his son to someone like you. Your 10-year-old shouldn't be allowed to go on this vacation either, because he isn't your husband's son. So if stepson misses out, then so should your son. It's only fair if we go off your stupid, messed up logic. I feel sorry for this poor kid. I bet he's left out of a lot of things. Toys? Treats? Food? God knows what else. You honestly disgust me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to fund my sister-in-law's education? My 33 female husband Luke, 33 male, funded his sister's Julia, 24 female education, undergraduate and graduate, for 6 years. And she recently graduated with her master's degree. I met Luke when Julia was a freshman, so I was aware that he offered to pay her schooling for 6 years. That was their deal. Luke started his adulthood with a lot of debt from school and didn't want Julia to go through any of that, so he only wanted her to focus on getting an education. His business was successful, so he paid for her tuition, apartment, car note, food, and other expenses like gas money, phone bill, clothing allowance, etc. He has spent close to $300,000 in 6 years. Luke and I run our business together, and we combined finances after getting married. His business generates 10 to 15% more revenue than mine. 4 months ago, we had a discussion with Julia and asked her what her plans were regarding her future after school. She said she wanted to stay near her friends, so Luke helped her secure a position where the starting salary was in the low 6-figure range. We decided that we would give her a rental property so that she would not pay rent. She would only be responsible for the utilities. 6 weeks ago, Julia's plans changed. She quit her job and told us that she wants to continue her education in the UK, a second master's degree, and her PhD after. And she's expecting us to pay for it. Luke discussed it with me, and I told him that she should take out a loan. He paid for 6 years of schooling, pulled strings to get her into her career of choice, and we gave her a free place to stay. I don't think it's fair that we pay another $200,000 to $300,000 for Julia to avoid working and not deal with responsibilities. Luke agrees, but he's a bit of a pushover. So I reminded Luke that we have shared finances, and my business brings in almost just as much as his. Therefore, I also have a say in this. Julie has been complaining to her parents and all of our relatives that I'm denying her a chance to succeed at life. Luke's aunt says that it's only fair that we continue paying for her to attend university, since Luke was the one who offered her a debt-free education. Am I the a-hole for putting my foot down and not allowing my husband to continue paying his sister's education since I bring in half of our income? Not the a-hole. She had a free ride through her master's. You helped her get a job with a 6-figure salary and rent-free place. If she wants a second master's and PhD, she can do that either after working to save up the money or do it part-time while working full-time to pay her own way. Her sense of entitlement is frightening. You and your husband have done enough. Literally scary. Then going around family to actually complain? Unbelievable. What? No. Also, if she's not getting a funded PhD, she's not good enough to be doing one anyway. Luke is an amazing brother, but at a certain point she has to fly the coop. And as money is your money, no partner has the right to unilaterally spend $250,000. Not the a-hole. Sounds like her sister-in-law's expensive education hasn't taught her gratitude. It sounds snobby, but I always tell my students who want to get a PhD, 1, don't. 2, if you won't listen to one, don't go to any program that won't pay you, and don't go at all if it's not highly rated. In a low-rated program, you'll do as much work, and it won't get you a job when you get done. Last story. Am I the a-hole for fighting for custody of my nephews? My 28th sister, Melissa, recently passed away. She was a single mom and it was a sudden accident. So custody of her two sons, Adam 12 and Nathan 8, is up in the air. My surviving sister, Amber 34, is looking like the top pick for custody. But the thing is, she's kind of a terrible mother to her own daughter already. She is ultra strict, doesn't respect her privacy, her daughter is 13, and her husband is an alcoholic who doesn't have a job and spends all day watching TV and yelling at their daughter. I want nothing more than to keep my nephews out of that household. As such, I've been fighting in court for custody of my nephews. The issue is that everyone involved besides me seems to think I'm totally out of line for doing this. Amber, of course, wants custody of herself, but my parents have been saying as of late that kids need a motherly figure in their life, and basically that I can properly take care of my nephews as a single man. The other issue is that if they moved in with me, they'd have to leave their school district and all their friends. In a time where they need the support of their friends most, I'd be taking them away from that. Amber also claims that Melissa wanted my nephews to go to her, but doesn't have any evidence. I've been facing a lot of pressure to stop fighting and let Amber have custody. And I know this is a touch above Reddit's pay grade, but am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but 8 and 12 is old enough to have a say. Has anyone asked them what they want? Where's their father? A single-parent household is miles better than a two-parent household with an abusive alcoholic as one of the parents. Children do not need mothers specifically. They need parents who love and parent them. If you can do that, then you should continue your fight. And maybe consider a room for your niece, who sounds like she's in a terrible situation too. So sorry for your loss and the continued stress of figuring out the best future for your nephews. They've been in shock since the accident. It was a car crash with the boys in the car. As soon as they'd ready to speak, I think the court would like to hear what they have to say. My heart breaks each day for them, and honestly, I just wish Melissa were still here. Everything would be fine if she was still here. Of course you wish she was still here, and I'm sure the boys do too. But she's not. The next best thing you can do is to raise them as best as you can. Are they staying with you now? If not, you should try to make that happen. The court will look at where they've been staying with an eye towards not creating more change for them if they don't have to. Not the a-hole. Has Amber's husband agreed to this? I just don't see that a court would give custody to a family where one person is an alcoholic, although I'm assuming the others involved don't know about this. Otherwise, I can't see why anyone would think it's a good idea they go to Amber. My guess is the sister is hiding the husband's issues. When OP brings this to light, they should not give her custody.